second person
who has
decided to get into this race, RFK Jr. Let me tell you, I have probably pretty strong disagreements with him, especially about healthcare. But with that said, he has some pretty based takes about a number of issues, including Julian Assange. So,
how you can do it however you want me to do it because you don't like this thing.
No, I don't want to mess up we are working on Jen's computer right now.
It's my laptop.
So it'll be sad if Trump was to deal with this nonsense again. Let me tell you something, meme master. We will have in some technical sense, we will have brought it on ourselves. There's no question about it. But the fact is the system's broken.
So let's talk about this. Go to where you can read it if you want to read it.
Okay.
Go to. Yeah.
So here is a statement that was just made yesterday by RFK Jr. Instead of championing free speech, the U.S. actively persecutes journalists and whistleblowers. First of all, the fact that he even said that line alone, you don't even need to address Julian Assange. The fact that you said that,
it's
pretty freaking big.
Well, it's more than anybody else has done.
Correct. I'll pardon brave truth tellers like Julian Assange and investigate the corruption and crimes they expose. Listen, I don't give a damn that RFK, I am sure, did not write this, but the fact that he greenlit this and is cool with it.
And is having it attached to his name, that counts. Look, it matters what you'll put your name to. Everybody uses speechwriters.
And echoing his own father, this isn't the Soviet Union. Correct, it's not. The America I love doesn't imprison dissidents.
And then he continued.
Other brave truth tellers include John Kiriakou, Chelsea Manning, reality winner, Daniel Hale, Thomas Drake, Jeff Sterling, and Edward effin Snowden.
Well, he didn't say effin.
Well,
he's outliving that. They were trying to return America to its democratic and humanitarian ideals. So let me be very clear that in my mind, if I were facing my Democratic primary right now, if that were sitting in front of me right now, I'm voting for him. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying if it were right now and my three choices were my three choices in a Democratic primary, that alone gets me to vote for him. And I have said it very many times as far as even the idea of voting for Joe Biden again. There is a list of things he would have to do. This would be one of the things on that list that he would have to do. The fact that RFK Jr. has specifically said and by name called out these individuals that he supports them is one of the biggest things that I don't think I've seen anybody on any national stage in any capacity at talking like that. Bernie a little bit talks about that stuff, but not like that.
Definitely agree. Joe, I do not believe, I can't really say for certain because I don't want to misquote. I do not believe that Marianne has addressed this topic. But what I will say is that regardless if she has or not, she has in no way, shape, or form addressed it the way that RFK did.
Like he was unequivocal.
He's putting himself in harm's way by making that statement.
The fact that he named names.
Yeah. And it's just the beginning because he just got in the race.
And we talked about this earlier, and I do think that to some extent that he does have the privilege, additional privilege, to being a Kennedy in terms of willing to put his name out there and be able to take some shit and take some heat. He has a certain sort of baseline support network just by who he is that he could probably endure more scrutiny than another person.
And
might.
Let's be honest, here's a guy that knows that his father and his uncle were murdered by our shadow government. And with that in mind, it's like he knows 10 times more than what we know. Like he knows the depths of how far this goes. And the fact that he, in some ways, seems like he may be lining himself up to potentially martyr himself like his father is pretty freaking insane to think that he's willing to do that.
And I looked into him a little bit. I mean, look, there's definitely some background stuff that's less than ideal. The thing with his last wife, like the suicide. Look, there's some shit.
Now, Brian brings up a good point. No one here is a fan of nepotism by any stretch. So why don't you take the opportunity now to share some of his credentials and why he could be in this
well,
position.
guys, I mean, look, there's no doubt about it that when you're a Kennedy, that opens all the doors that lead you to these opportunities.
Correct.
That's true. Okay. So his level of education, his opportunities in terms of who he met and who he's been able to work with. Yeah, that's a red carpet for a Kennedy, no doubt. But that doesn't necessarily mean they all have to choose this path. I would urge you guys to look up some of the environmental work he's done and some of the people he has gone after. Because this is where, yes, I do think having the name Kennedy gives somebody a certain extra set of cojones to do certain things. But he's sued our military. He sued, was it the U.S. Navy? He sued the U.S. Navy. He sued Exxon. He's been part of
Exxon Mobil. I mean, that's pretty freaking.
He's basically like it. Well, it's like Stephen Donziger. RFK Jr. is an environmental attorney that has been representing the most indigenous, downtrodden, like people that are the biggest victims of environmental injustice. And he's been in that. So again, and I'm not saying that any one thing is be all end all. I know he's had some not good takes. I'm not endorsing him. I'm just saying I would encourage people to look at his work experience, because when you are in his position, you don't really have to do anything. You really don't. You don't have to do anything. He could have just be at his cushy. He could be at a cushy practice, and he is.
He could be like Chelsea Clinton.
He's at a nice law firm, but the cases that he has taken on are very David and Goliath cases. And even though, yes, he has an advantage because of his name and because of his background, the fact that he's willing to lend that privilege to this when he doesn't have to.
And he is putting himself in harm's way.
That to me speaks volume. I am a very big proponent of this concept of lending privilege. I think it's one of my biggest motivators. And I feel like my privilege, just being who I am and the life I was born into, it is so imperative that we lend that. But this is someone I think that really did do that. And he does that. So I would just encourage you guys to check out his resume. And look at he's absolutely somebody who's qualified. And yeah, there's some negative shit there. There's no doubt there is some negative shit. If you guys want to go dig up some negative shit on him, there is some. But it looks like to me that he has spent the vast portion of at least the past 15, 20 years focusing on environmental justice. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.